So it's all to play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Hi, villains, and welcome to Further Love of Paul McGrath podcast, a podcast that is hoping it can get to Europe just exactly like Aston Villa are in. Games are going to come thick and fast. As Debu said, 7 cup finals between now and the end of the season, starting at an away game against Brentford at the weekend, Paddy. Talk to me. What's your views? We've been very quiet in the podcast front since we did the post match the last day, and I had a couple of podcasts that fell through lined up, but I'll be honest with you, it's nice sometimes to take a breather in and to kind of how will I put it, let a win like we had at the weekend kind of effervesce through the soul so that it can so that we can enjoy it. What do you think, Paddy?
Yeah, well, on the other hand, we're going to be very busy next week with 3 games in a week, so people will be sick of looking at us, so there's no harm to have a little break for the last few days.
Exactly. And as you mentioned, we've got Brentford on Saturday, and then we Fulham on Tuesday, and then it's United. Is it the weekend? Is it United after that? Brentford, Fulham, United,
I think. Yeah.
I think that's it. Yeah, and Manchester United are playing at this moment in time in the Europa League, and last I checked, they were losing 2-0. So I don't know what it is now. But which I think is bad for us. I want them in European competition so they take their eye off the ball and become we can catch them in the long grass. But anyway, we'll talk about that when the time comes. But Brentford, Paddy, a lot of people's outside of Brighton and ourselves, I suppose, really a lot of people's surprise packages of the Premier League season this season. What do you make of them?
Yeah, absolutely. Surprise package. I was at the return fixture in Villa Park. It was Aaron Dank's sole win as manager. He won 4-0 and then went out and lost 4-0 to Newcastle the following week. They've had a season beyond, I suppose, their expectation. But having said that, they've lost their last 3 games and they haven't won in 5. So there's a lot going on there. Some people reading some of their fans' comments that they're already on the beach, that their job is done, but they had a good chance of getting into Europe themselves. So I am very hopeful that we can go and do a number on them and put more daylight. That will put us 10 points ahead of them and probably remove them from us to have to worry about in the long list of people we have to worry about.
Yeah. Did you say there, because the audio broke up, you said they lost their last 3, but they haven't won in their last 5. Obviously they came, 2 draws and then 3 losses and a bounce. And it's like they were on a huge run previously as well to get into that position. I think it was something like 13 games unbeaten or 12 games unbeaten. Thomas Frank was being talked about as being manager of the year, and he's done an absolutely brilliant job there. He really has. But when you look at their team, obviously, I think, suppose let's just mention the elephant in the room there. Since the whole betting stuff has come out about Ivan Toney, it's not that he's gone off the boil, but the team itself has gone off the boil really since that came out. And it can just show you, I suppose, that a bit of bad news specifically to your big star player can have a knock-on effect to the morale and to the feeling around the club itself. But he's going to be suiting up against Aston Villa at the weekend, and he's definitely going to be someone we're going to need to pay close attention to.
Yeah, always plays well against us. Scored a few goals in the Championship and they were all in the Premier League, weren't they? I think they were. He only joined them after we went up, I think. Look, he's a decent player and obviously doesn't like the Villa, judging by his Zulu sign after his goal at Villa Park, which amazed me that he never got into trouble for it, because you can be full sure if one of ours was doing something like that, there would be blue murder. But thankfully, a lot of our fans are not old enough to remember what that sign meant. So that's probably how we got away with it. So, look, that's only a boy-to-boy thing. But apparently his agent is a blue nose. So that's the reasoning for it.
Yeah.
But Look, I fully expect, regardless of what team they put out, I fully expect us to go and get a win. I think everybody's thinking the same thing. We've been playing really well away from home, so it's it's all in our hands. It's all to play for, as you say. 7 cup finals, starting with this one. A bit of focus on this one. I'm more worried about the one after. Trying to reload in between those 2 games is going to be difficult. So let's go get the 3 points here and see what we can do against Fulham.
Yeah, and that's going to be very much my kind of MO for the next 7 games is and I think I mentioned it after. I mentioned it to somebody at some stage. I don't know what podcast it was on. I don't even know if it was a podcast. Might have said it to my missus in my sleep even. I can't remember. But I know it came out of my mouth at one stage that if we treat the next 7 games like as if we are actually playing in a European competition, not as if we've qualified for Europe, if we're playing in a European competition, if we treat them like that and game plan specifically for each game and take them each single game on its merits, whether they be home or away, well, then we have as good a chance as anybody. But the next 2 games coming up, I think, are really pivotal, because what that can do is, you mentioned, and you alluded to it there a moment ago, Paddy, that can cut Brentford and Fulham off. That can end their chances of catching us. Now, they may get into 7th place. Then that makes it a kind of a Liverpool, Brighton, Villa, Spurs. At that stage, Villa could be ahead of Spurs if we win those 2 games, but I'm not looking that far ahead.
You just are.
But I'm saying, like, Brentford and Fulham, cutting them off. Then we have Manchester United. Then we can go into our other little mini run of United and Wolves, I think it is then, and then we've got Liverpool, Spurs, Brighton. Then to end out the season. So if you take it in kind of mini blocks like that, I think it becomes a small bit more apparent how massive the task is. It's huge. I know we're in 6th place at the moment, and possession is 9/10 of the law, and we're playing brilliantly, and our form is fantastic and everything. To still get Europe from where we are at the moment will be it'll be worthy of someone writing a song about it, because it would be absolutely huge. And I definitely think we can get there, but we have to start with Brentford and Fulham first, as you said. No,
yeah, another huge week. I think when we spoke 2 weeks ago, when we did 3 games in the week, and we managed to go and win the 3 and get the 9 points. We've added to that this weekend, so hopefully they've had a few days of a break this week to recharge the batteries before getting stuck into the thoughts for the weekend. I noticed there wasn't much on social media with regards to players doing stuff, so they could probably have done with a break early in the week, come back and maybe did a practice game today or yesterday, and then all eyes on the weekend. So it's all about game management now and player management. This is the business end. I think if we get 9 points this week again, we are in Europe, and I don't think anybody's going to catch us. I think that's it. But it's a big ask. Not so much the first 2 games to go and back it up then against Man United might be, but we'll focus on Brentford for now and hope that we get the 3 points there.
Just to put it in context, 9 points this week is 8 wins in a row.
Why not?
My brain is hurting. My brain hurts when I think that that's the possibility. I'm not saying it's well, it is a possibility because we've won 5, whatever. But you know what I mean. But like, the chickens would not be counted there until they've actually started laying eggs themselves. Never mind hatching. In that instance. But you spoke there about people getting a break and people getting time away. Also, watch this for a segue. This is getting professional. You spoke there, Paddy, about people getting a break and people getting time away. Well, if you want to get some time away and you maybe want to follow Aston Villa to the United States this summer, see what I did there? The guys at Sports Travel Tours there, Andrew in Sports Travel Tours will sort you out. Once again, as I say, in the podcast notes for this after the podcast, we'll pop in the link. If you want to just pop in your details there, you'll be sent any details with regards to any of the packages that are coming up there. We've been reliably informed as well that there will be packages for anyone who's listening to this in Ireland. We mentioned previously flights were from London. You can see there in this. There's going to be flights coming from Dublin as well. So if anybody here in Ireland didn't fancy having to get the connecting flight to London and fly over, if that was a game breaker for you, there will be flights coming from Dublin as well. They're on their way to being announced also. And once the packages are announced as well, we might have a little something for you as well here. I'm not 100% sure, but I shouldn't really say anything there, but we'll talk about it. And we'll talk about it at a later date. We might rub that one out. But so as I say, Sports Travel Tours, Andrew, there, Aston Villa fan, listens to the podcast here as well. There are at all protected. Two people actually reached out to me and they asked about at all protection. What is that? Essentially, it's a British standard whereby your money is protected. It's essentially like a payment system that all the travel agents are paying to, so that if flights are cancelled, etc., you are protected from that point of view.
Basically, if you're a travel agent, you need to have a bond in place in case
Yes.
anything goes wrong, and that bond covers your money basically. And that's what at all protected means. And for our Irish listeners, you'll be IATA protected. So that's the difference between the two.
Exactly. There's a man I think that might have sold a package holiday in his life before.
I may have done
after coming on there and speaking about that. But look, as I say, it's just anybody who's thinking maybe and doesn't know where to get started with booking the preseason stuff. Andrew and Sports Travel Tours will be able to give you a hand. Pop your name into the generator, into the onto the website, and they will reach out to you with details of any of the packages. I want to say a big massive shout out as well. There's a man that's very close to my heart, has been close to my heart all season, has been banging him into the back of the net. And I think his most prized possession won't be any of the match balls that he's gotten for being man of the match this season. But Ollie Watkins had a son on just what I think it's the best day in the year anyway, myself, on the 17th of April. He had a little son called Marley Watkins. If I'm not mistaken, isn't there a lower league footballer called Marley Watkins as well? Wait a minute, actually,
no idea.
I'm going to Google that in a moment. He had there is another Marley Watkins. Yeah, he's playing with Aberdeen at the moment. Anyway, so first of all, good stock comes. It's a footballer's name already, so therefore, he's halfway there to being a footballer himself. Obviously, his dad banging him in at the moment, but I just want to say congratulations to the Watkins family. I want to say that his son is impeccable timing as well, coming out in the best day of the year, statistically proven. And Duncan Kilburn also was born the best day of the year as well. So once again, further proof that it is the best day of the year. But I just wanted to say congratulations to him. And also says fair play to Marley Watkins for not coming on match day, because at this moment in time, we don't need any of our players being out on match days. So fair play to you, Marley, for waiting until Monday and not coming on Saturday. Thank you very much.
A big shout out to Ollie Watkins' better half, who has her work cut out this week, because we don't want to see any photos of Ollie asleep in a cot this week. That man needs a good week's sleep. So if Ollie Watkins' family are listening, get up there, help them out, give Ollie all the rest that he wants. He can have all the hugs and cuddles on the couch, but come bedtime, that man needs his rest, because he's 7 big games coming up.
7 big games, exactly. Yeah. And look, if anybody knows where he lives, pass on the address to us. I'll fly over and I'll look after his son, as opposed to waiting for my own one to come. This stuff is really important to us. We need to get Europe, and it's all hands to the pump. It's all hands to the pump here at the minute. But no, I thought it was it's he'll be on top of the world, as I say, Ollie Watkins, and I'm hoping to see a little cradle and baby celebration in the corner on Saturday, and hopefully he continues on that brilliant goal scoring record, because he's a man I want to talk about next, Paddy. And why not talk about him? Because he's 11 goals in 12, and in the press conference today, Unai Emery just said one of the best answers I've heard in a long time. Broken English or no broken English with it, but he said it's just a fantastic answer. And he was asked, what have you done to improve players like Ollie Watkins? And the answer he gave was, you improve one player. He goes, I don't think I improved Ollie Watkins. I think he said, you improve one player, and then obviously then the player beside him is playing better. And it was just a brilliant answer, because it gave if I was a footballer listening to it, it would have given me a lot of confidence that all the rest of the players on the team would have were feeling good about their position at this moment in time, if that makes sense. I don't know if I came across it, but listen back to it, listen back to the quote he gave. But I just thought it was a really good kind of unifying piece, because it allowed him to allowed him to talk about the players getting better, and allowed him to talk about one player getting better makes the player beside him better, and makes the player beside him better again as well. But it didn't kind of cut any legs out from Ollie Watkins, because some managers might have a propensity to go, oh yeah, he's playing well at the moment, and as we know, he's got 11 out of 12, but I expect more from him, and I expect this to continue on. He didn't need to do that. He found a slippery way around it, and I really, really like the answer to the question. So fair play to Unai Emery for that. And his press conference was really good today. I thought it was I thought he did an awful lot of cheerleading, which I mean that in a good way. He was really keeping the positivity amped up when he was in the press conference, and I really enjoyed some of the stuff he said.
Unfortunately, Neil, I didn't get a chance to listen to it. I was up to my eyes all day. So I'll have to reserve judgment until I listen tomorrow or after the podcast. But what I did listen to today, and I'm probably getting people pissed off listening to me saying this, but Michael Calvin's Football People came out again today, and he had Tyrone Mings on his podcast. So if anyone gets a chance, look, I don't hate talking about what's going on other people's podcasts, because you should go and listen to him. But Tyrone Mings, he just, every time he opens his mouth, I just want to give him a big hug, because he's just a monster of a man. He's it's a privilege to have him at the club. Obviously, when he's not playing well, we'll call him out. If he's not playing well, if he's making mistakes, we call him out. If he's not playing mistakes. But that man is a perfect ambassador for our club, and it's just a joy to listen to him in a happy place in the run that we're currently in. So more power to him, and more perfect performances that we've been getting of late, and I hope it stays the same way.
Absolutely. Yeah. I haven't listened to the Michael Calvin podcast yet, but somebody else has listened to it as well and messaged me and said that it was an absolute banger. So I'm going to listen to that. I'm going to throw it on after this. And a bit of downtime, a busy day today. I travelled almost the length of Ireland today, so I've which isn't that long. If there's any US fans here, they're going, yeah, that's just travelling. Probably like that's something people do that as a commute every day, because that's how big the States is. But for me, I'm wrecked after it, so I'm going to take a little bit of downtime and listen to that podcast afterwards. But you're right there about Tyrone Mings, being an ambassador for the club. He seems like a guy who, I think he's kind of harnessed his. How am I going to say this? He's kind of like, I'd say there was times when he got in his own head with regards to his performances. I've nothing to base this on, because I haven't listened to the podcast, but I would say that now he's harnessed that into a positive thing. And you kind of see from him, more so this year, I think you see from him that he doesn't get too high, he doesn't get too low in situations as well. And he's matured, he's become very level-headed. He's 30 years of age now. Even little comments he mentioned during the course of the year, whereby he said he's still learning how to play centre half, because he started playing there when he came to Villa, really. So
one amazing stat he came out with that I'll leave you with is that he's 4 years older than Ezri Konsa, but Ezri Konsa has played more games than him. So he still sees himself as being very fresh and ready for battle. So he wasn't fazed by the fact that he turned 30 and is ready to give it his all. So it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. I'm buzzing for him, because he didn't have a good turn under the last manager. I think he was let down badly by those in charge. So I'm happy to see he's out the other side of it and playing out of his skin. Absolutely. And again, he alluded to the fact that Emery pulled him aside and went, "You're doing too much. This is what you need to do. This is your job. You're getting pulled out of position. If you're getting pulled out of position, it's because someone else isn't doing their job. You just need to do your own job, and I'll talk to the rest of them about doing their job." So I haven't listened to him and Ollie Watkins in the previous weeks. I've no doubt in my mind that the players know exactly what they're doing when they go out there on the pitch. We saw that at the weekend. The game plan was implemented from the minute the ball was kicked off. So we're nearly ahead to 28 seconds. So we got to trust the process. It was a joy to be over there last week and see the passing out from the back and nobody getting annoyed around us. The fans are finally buying into it and turning. So what a time to be a Villa fan. I know the season could peter out and we may not get European football and we'll all be incredibly sad, but that's what we got to try not to be. We've got to try and be positive about this, because the run that we've been on, you always have to worry about something, don't you? So now we're worrying about, can we stay in Europe? And look, I'd much rather be worrying about staying in Europe than trying to stay in the Premier League.
Oh, big style. Absolutely big style, and the building blocks are there. We've been saying it before, and it's been said on many other podcasts. And, Greg Evans had a great article about Unai Emery as well in The Athletic. He's doing it with someone else's players outside of Alex Moreno. He's really, like, even no Boubacar Kamara at the moment. He's doing it with players that are here 2 years ago. And I won't talk much about it, but we'll have an interesting Fulham pre-match show coming up on Monday or Sunday or Monday as well, and it's just going to be an interesting kind of sliding doors kind of podcast. So keep an eye out for that as well, because as I say, these players have been around the club for a while, and Unai Emery is absolutely harnessing every last drop of talent and potential out of them, which is absolutely fantastic. I want to talk about that. You mentioned as well there about Konza, and you mentioned about Mings. You mentioned something there about Unai Emery, that he kind of had a word with Mings and said, you're doing too much. For anybody who's watching the game, or for like, one of the biggest things that I saw when I was actually at the game, and it was so apparent because we owned the ball against for a lot of the time against Nottingham Forest, was the fact that we under previous managers, we haven't really protected our back four really well. Or I would actually just say we haven't protected our back two, because the way Villa play at the moment is no secret. They play with the two centre halves. They play with a block of four in front with the two full backs pushing up, and the two pivot players there. Obviously, one of those pivot players has the opportunity to move forward into midfield. Then they play with their two wider guys in McGinn and Ramsey, who are a small bit further forward, and so on. So we know how Aston Villa play there, but it's that block of four that we retreat into, and specifically with Dendoncker when he was in there in the Forest game. When Dendoncker was in there, it was just so apparent that they were not going to get down through the middle, and I would say, if you were to ask Tyrone Mings and Ezri Konsa, has that been one of the biggest changes that has made them feel a bit more confident and has allowed them their spacings to be a bit more consistent, so they aren't dragged left, right, and centre. It gives them an opportunity for the fullbacks to come back. If they are dragged out to the left, it gives Dendoncker an opportunity, or Boubacar Kamara or Douglas Luiz, to kind of slot back in there as well and help it. And it's not rocket science the way that they've set it up. So I think that's really important. And also, I'm talking about this. I've paused that scouting series I was doing because it's just too much fun looking at the games at the moment and the players that we have, and everybody's playing so well. But when you look at those two centre halves that we have, Mings is without a shadow of a doubt more. But the ball, he's been given the opportunity to be the ball player and to win the ball in the air. And Ezri Konsa, if you are playing Football Manager at the moment, Ezri Konsa they've clicked the drop down, they've selected stopper. And that's his job at the moment. And it's a really interesting study on the two of them, the way they play two different styles at centre half, and they're beginning to complement each other a small bit more. So for me, I think it's an undersung. Well, it's not unsung because us Villa fans, we see it. But I think in the media, I think in overall analytics of the team at a national scale, I think the partnership that's been rekindled there between those two players has been huge, and I hope it continues, because we're keeping clean sheets to beat the band. I hope it continues now at the weekend, because the two of those guys deserve it.
100%. And let's be honest, they won't have it all their own way this weekend. Well, if it's anything like last weekend and we get things spot on, it'll be a pleasure to watch it and just watch us try and break them down. But they're not without their dangers in there. They can pick off the best of them as well. As we've seen, was it Arsenal they demolished? Or was that last season, or United? One of them at the start of the season.
I think it was United.
Yeah. They're more than capable of doing it. So we got to have our wits about us. They're near enough back to full health. There's not.
They're not. They're going to be missing two centre halves that might be very pivotal to them. That was going to be my next point. That was going to bring up.
Well, look,
Christopher.
I think Ben Mee starts anyway over Christopher Ayer.
You mean the Sky Sports pundit Ben Mee? Yeah. I thought he spoke well. Although I just looking at him going, "You and your dirty tackle."
I didn't even see it. Didn't even look at it.
Yeah, I thought he was okay. But like it's going to be me and Pinnock in there. I think they're going to go to a back four.
So Janssen, pointless Janssen and Christopher Ayer are out. So I don't know. I don't know if there's any more injuries. The young lad there, Keane Lewis Potter, is out as well. Yeah, I think that's about it.
I think they're the three guys that are out. So they're going to have that block in midfield. Norgard is going to be in there, somebody who's just really impressive player. What I mean by impressive is the fact that he knows his limitations and he does everything. Like he's that guy that goes out and plays 7.5 in every single game, and you can turn around to him and every single one of the players will look at him and go, I love playing with you because you're always on it. He's great, very good player, real pivotal to them. So he's going to be in there, and then their front three will most likely be I think that guy Shade, is it that how you pronounce it? The German young under 21 German player that they have. I think he might get the nod up there alongside Tony and Mbuemo. We're talking about partnerships. Tony and Mbuemo are they're very simpatico at the moment, and will take minding. But once again, I think Aston Villa will have a plan for this game. We've had 7 days to look at this. I think this is this for me is the more difficult of the two games between Fulham and Brentford. That is not denigrating Fulham in any way, shape, or form. They absolutely schooled us in the reverse fixture. But I think Unai Emery is of the opinion, go away and beat Brentford away and come home and then see what we can do against Fulham then in the home fixture. I think it's very important. So yeah. When's this Tony Bang coming? It'll be in the off season, and he will probably get.
You do realise that Ivan Tony's an English international, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah. It's
less said the better.
Yeah, absolutely. We don't know what's going to happen there, but it's not good. He's going to be playing on Saturday. Simple as that. Unless something happens to him injury wise between now and then, and at that he'll probably still be playing. And the Villa side, injury news in the Villa side. Obviously, we're not going to have any of the guys back. Leon Bailey won't be back. Booba won't be back. Philip Coutinho won't be back. Matty Cash won't be back. But I would imagine
I would not be surprised if we go full Martin O'Neill this weekend and go same team, same subs.
Same team, same subs. Yeah, it will be. That would mean that Travis Patterson gets his place on the bench again, which would be really, really good for the young man. Who knows? We might throw a spanner in the works and go with 8 subs on the bench again, Paddy. Who knows? I think that's going to be the most interesting part of this lineup at the weekend. Although saying that, being facetious, this could be a game that we might see Bertie. Just don't think that he's going to start him. I think the magic he has is coming off the bench. So we'll.
I think the team selection is very important over the next few days, because there may be one or two in there that, like, I don't want to tempt fate, but like you've got 3 games in a week, 3 important games. I'm kind of glad that the Fulham one is on Tuesday and not Wednesday, to give us a bit of time to recover between that and the Man United game. Yeah. Because I'm fully expecting 6 points. It's the one at the end of the week that I'd really love to turn over and make it 9 again, which will bring us up to 11 games unbeaten if that was the case, which is absolutely outrageous. Would be
the greatest run of games in Aston Villa history, modern history. It would have to be. Jesus, it would have to be. In the Premier League, 11 games. Like, we're counting chickens, as I said. We'll count the chickens when they've hatched and then have laid eggs of their own. That's the only time we will count them at this stage.
United have lost 3-0. It's just a pity it's not this weekend we're playing them. I would have preferred that.
Yeah. David Style says that Donker played well enough to start again and the system worked well. Burt wouldn't work for me in this game. Yeah, I was thinking more so the Burt would be in there for Buendia. I don't know, does anyone else feel that, Buendia, Buendia's going to write a book when he retires and goes, all those times that I was on the ground and I was people were telling me get up, I was actually really sore all that time. And I have a feeling, because I don't know whether it's because he's such a small frame and he's such a light guy that he's actually getting kicked from pillar to post. So I don't know. Sometimes I kind of feel that he's always playing with an injury, but he had a very, very good game at the weekend. And, if he brings that form into this on Saturday, he could be key to unlocking that Brentford defence. And they, up until a couple of weeks ago, do they still have it? I think they've got one of the best defences in the Premier League. Well, they've conceded 42 goals, so don't mind me. But up until a couple of weeks ago, until they went on this run, they did have a fantastic defensive record, so they can do it. But once again, missing those 2 centre halves and the versatility that Ayer and Pontus Jansson would give them, I think is going to be to our benefit for sure. That's another one. That's why I think, I was just about to bring that up as well. The only other curveball, massive curveball that we could see, Paddy, is that we might at some stage over the next 7 days see Diego Carlos back in the lineup and Ezri Konsa pushed out wide right. This is probably the only game I would see it happening in, considering we've 7 games to plan for it. But I think it would be one of those
maybe
ones
Tuesday. He might stick with the plan for this and maybe do it Tuesday. And you know what? Ezri Konsa playing it right back wouldn't be out of place the way we're playing that system at the moment. If we play like totally left-hand side as we did last weekend, it would absolutely suit Ezri Konsa to be in that position. So maybe at 38 years of age to play 3 Premier League games in a week, and you can be damn sure that the one he's looking for is next Sunday. That's his end game for this week. He wants to go and get these 2 games out of the way, get the 6 points under, and then go back to Old Trafford and hopefully get 3 points there.
Yeah, I think so too. And statue territory. People are talking about statues for Ashley Young there. It would be Unai Emery statue territory to beat United twice in a year, and to take 6 points off United because, as I said, that getting 3 points, never mind 6 points off United in a calendar year is not something that we've done very well as well. Michael Huggins asking how fit is Diego Carlos? Fit enough to be on the bench. I'd imagine he's flying it. He's fit enough to be climbing in windows in the middle of the night as well. So I'd say he's fully healed anyway for sure. Yeah, there was a distinct glint of half a bottle of rum, I'd say, off his face when he came in through that window.
Where did you watch that, Neil?
That was Alex Moreno was streaming on Twitch, and
he was climbing in the window.
Yeah, Dougie Louise was there. No, Alex Moreno was streaming like this, and there was a window in the back. And Dougie Louise, how did you not see this? It was everywhere. Dougie Louise was there. Philippe Coutinho was there. Emi Martinez was there. Emi Buendia was there. And next thing, Diego Carlos comes in the window in the middle of them streaming. Yeah. How did you miss that? That was everywhere.
I actually did start to watch it, but there were no subtitles, so I turned it off. I had no idea what they were saying, so I turned it off.
Stephen Doyle, thank you so much, Stephen. Jesus, that's amazing. That's really generous, Stephen. Thank you so much. Have a beer on me, lads. I missed the start of the pod, so I'm going to rewind here. Keep up the good work. Well, if you haven't rewound yet, thank you so much. And when you get to this part of the podcast afterwards, I'm going to say thank you again. So that's 2 thank yous for you, Stephen. But really, really appreciate that. Thank you so much. So like, I'm not quite sure, Paddy. It's like, as you said, same team, same subs seems about right, I think, for the weekend. And like, as I say, every game, I know we've strayed a couple of times in the podcast into looking down the road to the next 3 games, but let's enjoy this game at the weekend. And if Villa get a result here, as I say, we would knock Brentford. I think Brentford are out of the running. Well, they're out of the running, catching us because there'll be 10 points in the difference then. But if Brentford win this, they're very much back in it again. So this is one of those European 6-pointers of this one of 6 of the 7 European 6-pointers that we have coming up. So we can only beat what we can, or we can only play the next game first, and we better be ready for Brighton because for Brentford, should I say, because there are going to be no pushovers. Tight stadium, it's going to be raucous. And there's a decent traveling of Villa going, but obviously it's one of those smaller stadiums, so they're obviously going to be well outnumbered. But I think it's going to be frustration first, or Villa will be set up to frustrate first, catch that early goal, and if we do, then
there's a bit of negativity there at the moment after all the defeats. So we just got to play on that now and keep them quiet, because it can be a raucous enough place to go. It's noisy enough. It's nice and tight. Lovely place to play football, I'd imagine. So all roads lead to tiny Brentford, and I look forward to please another 3 points on Saturday.
It would, like, the dreams would start to become almost touchable at that stage, but as I say, we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. Other results then, we will still need other results to go our way in the next few weeks, even though we are in 6th place because of the games in hand. So as I say, it all starts on Saturday. So that's going to do it for us tonight, guys. it's I'm just so excited about talking about Aston Villa at the moment, and I know you guys are all mad for content and stuff like that. So I'm going to try and get another podcast out tomorrow. I potentially have somebody lined up to do a podcast, but I'm not going to reveal who it is yet, because just in case they can't make it, might be pushed into next week. If not, I might get onto that thing that I've been pausing forever, that scouting series about the centre halves, and we will then obviously be back on Saturday with Team Sheet Tantrum and post match as well on Saturday. So listen, I want to wish everybody a great end to your week. Well, I hope that you all stay safe. I hope you all stay sound, and I hope that Aston Villa bring us all a fantastic 3 points at the weekend. But in the meantime, everybody be healthy, and all that's left to say is up the Villa.
Up the Villa.